Folks, Fernando doing our video for the Modern Survivalist, and this is gonna be a video intended for people that are new to survival and preparedness, but also for folks that are trying to do this on somewhat of a tight budget. The thing is, there's several similarities, and it applies for folks in both cases. This was requested, and the comment says, what would you recommend for someone who wants to be a prepper but has a very limited budget? How should he prioritize? Personally, I think the most sensitive thing to start is having some savings, like 3 months salary. It's a pain in the arse to get delayed payments and having to borrow money to just pay your rent or maybe your mortgage, I suppose. And only a few things suck more than not being able to afford to go to a doctor or having to watch your pet die because of it. Would you agree? What would be the next 5 goals to achieve? So, yeah, about this, I like to go through a couple of points, especially this idea that you need a ton of stuff to prepare, all right? So you have guys that are worried about buying gear all the time, and you have folks that are new to survival and preparedness, and they're looking at, okay, give me a list of stuff that I should be buying. The honest truth is that this is 90% a mind game, all right? It's mostly about your mentality, your attitude in general. Yes, there's certain tools and things you need, and I do videos about all that all the time. And I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, and if I'm doing that, the first one I should be pointing towards is myself, because I do videos of countless knives and talk about gear and flashlights. Who needs 100 different flashlights? Now, those are mostly so as to show you something that's interesting, and if you're trying to make a decision and spending your hard-earned money, have an opinion, valid, or that comes from a certain point of experience. But again, at the end of the day, it's not about a ton of stuff. It's mostly about the attitude you have. So that would be the first thing to consider. How certain are you about what you're doing? What is it exactly that you're preparing for? And I'm talking specifically for people that are new to survival and preparedness. What is it that you're trying to prepare for? Right? Be realistic about that. And again, you go online and you go on YouTube and you see all these videos about hiking trips and on the trail and camping, and there's the fishing and hunting, and it's so fantastic. The thing is, and someone was telling me, I don't do hunting videos or fishing videos or camping videos. There's really not a lot of that going on when things really get nasty. When looking at real survival events where people are in a very tough spot. Those of you that have been following me for some time know that I'm from Argentina. I lived there most of my life. I was there during the 2001 economic crisis and years after that. And it's not just me. I mean, if you're looking right now at Venezuela, people are in a kind of a similar spot. Yeah, I say much worse, but it's the same in different events. Over the years, this isn't just something that I've been looking at my own belly and thinking of what I went through. I've been researching and studying different events throughout history, and you always see kind of the same thing. There's not a lot of hunting and gathering and fishing, and even for farming, there's sure. And I'm not, if it works for you, then that's fantastic. If you're you have your homestead or you have your farm and you have some chickens and some greens and you're growing that and you're liking that and you supplement your diet with that, fantastic. It is not the typical thing that works for most people in a dire situation like that. To be honest, I mean, in Argentina, when things were very bad, and this is something I was talking with the guys over at Ready Men, a lot of the time you're staying at home. And you're staying in and you're watching TV. One of the things that I would have liked to have back then in Argentina was a good TV and a good setup so as to stay home a lot, playing video games. That's a lot of the time what I was doing, because it's really not all that safe to be out there. And yeah, of course, you go on with your life and you have to show up to your crappy job and you have to make money that's never enough and it's constantly worth less and less, and you can buy less and less stuff with it. People in Venezuela relate to this completely. You're wasting away little by little, and going outside, you know when you're going out, you don't know when you're coming, if you're coming back home. And when that happens, you really don't go out a lot. Most of the camping and most of the cool trips I did in Argentina, backpacking and that sort of thing, most of that was before things got really bad. And the worse they got, the less you went out. For me, it was a routine of doing what I had to do, going to university or work, and the only thing that I kind of compromised a bit with was with shooting. Every week I would go. Every week at night, I would go shoot, training or doing some competition or something, and that was one of the activities that I would keep on doing. But it's just not as cool. It's not as interesting as some of the things you often see online. You end up not doing a lot of that when things really get nasty, when things really get bad. There's not a ton of camping and backpacking and all that sort of stuff. So if you're looking at putting together, and you can go crazy with this. If you start buying gear, you can spend thousands upon thousands of dollars of sleeping bags and tents, and it's fantastic if you have it and it has its uses and such. But for the most likely threats and possible disasters and emergencies that a person is likely to face, in very few of them will you be using camping gear or go out hunting. In fact, if you look at history, you will see that and this happened in Argentina. It also happened in the United States during the Great Depression, when everyone said, okay, I'm going to be putting food on the table by hunting. In a matter of weeks, they cleared out all the deer. And you within a matter of weeks, you can just extinct the entire species if everyone goes out with a rifle and starts killing them. And it's simply not sustainable with the kind of population you have, not in 1930, let alone today. So yet again, if you live by the sea and fishing is a great way for you to supplement your diet, absolutely go with that. If you have your farm, which is your profitable business, go with that. Usually people have other ways in which they get more money, and at the end of the day, it comes down to that, about how much money you have in your pocket, because all the meats and vegetables that you grow or catch or whatnot, it's not going to be paying the bills. It's not going to be taking care of your medical bills. It's not going to be paying for power, for your services, your internet. It's not going to be repairing your car. Yes, of course, you can be good at it and do it yourself, but the parts also need to be bought. At the end of the day, what our friend here was mentioning, cash, yes, absolutely. That would be one of the big things to have. Lots of folks have had problems like these, and cash has come in extremely handy. But we go back to that mindset, that mentality of overcoming problems. Once you understand exactly what you're preparing for, you have to look at how is it that you're going to be facing problems. Is it something that's going to be overwhelming, or is something that you're going to be having a can-do mentality? That is one of your most powerful, valuable tools when things start going wrong. If you're the sad, gloomy type, it's going to be going bad for you. Look, mentality-wise, there's a lot there to work on it, and a lot of people end up getting caught on things and end up having lots of there's people out that do lots of drinking, drugs, legal or prescribed. There's people that have lots of personal problems, personal issues with their families, their wives, their kids, struggling in that regard. Put your house in order first. That's one of the priorities by all means. Be healthy mentally speaking. Be a happy person. What the hell are you preparing for if your life is miserable and sad? That's one of the things that I think it's one of the main things you should be preparing for, in terms of being ready for things don't go well, when things don't work out okay, and you need to be strong, and you need that support, that immediate support in your family. And also look at, once you cover the mind aspect, look at your own, your main tool, your body, which is one of the things people neglect the most. You go to these shows and you see folks that really have a health problem because of their obvious physical condition. If you are obese or very obviously quite overweight, have an extra 100 pounds on you, the last thing you should be losing your sleep over is if 9mm is better than 45 ACP. Makes no sense whatsoever. Again, not being mean or nasty or anything, but you obviously see it. You see a guy that is, preparing for God knows what, and the first thing he should be preparing is, high cholesterol and the heart attack he's going to be having in no time. And that's about, you go back to the mind controlling your body and the mind controlling whatever it is that you're shoving down your throat. So maybe you should be focusing on that. If you are, let me put this as clear as possible. No matter what is it you're dealing with, no matter what disaster, emergency, crisis, economic collapse, social problem, breakdown in your country's fabric, if you are in good physical shape and in good mental shape, you will be able to cope with pretty much anything that life throws your way. All right, and no tool will change that. So that would be the things. And I mean, I could talk about this for 10 hours and non-stop. The aspects of being sound of mind and body. How else are you going to be working when things get really nasty economically speaking? One of the first things you need is good employment, making money. You need that cash because it's buying less and less stuff. You need more of it. So you have to be very, very positive and very good at it. If your body is not capable of working, then you're out of luck. If you're mentally not ready for working, if you're conflictive with your boss, with your with people in the office, if you're problematic and you don't fit and you don't respond well, then you're going to be suffering that. It's not fun. It's not as cool as doing a video, shooting a bow or whatever, and in a nice trail. But this is really what it comes down to. These things that don't go mentioned a lot. Of course, being capable of physical labor. If you have a homestead in winter and you have to cut wood so as to heat your home, if you're not physical capable of doing it, and I'm not talking about being an athlete or anything like that, but being in a reasonable shape in which you're thin enough so that you're in a reasonable amount of health and have some strength and capable of certain cardiovascular work. If you are caught in a car accident and you have to walk back home, look at folks in Venezuela right now, and that would be another perfect example of mind-body combination for worst case scenarios. In Venezuela, there's people that left the country years ago when they saw things going wrong. They just realized that was not viable anymore. Just made a hard decision, all bullshit aside, and say, now this is not going to be working, we're out of here. And they left, and maybe they're happy somewhere else today. No doubt about that. There's thousands of folks like that. There's people that stayed, and at the very end, the last choice they have, and as this goes on, it keeps on getting worse. The thing is that you end up caught in a place like Venezuela because you're working all day long and you're making $2, $3, $5 a month. The plane ticket's still worth $1,000. It's still worth $1,000. How long do you have to work so as to get plane tickets for your entire family when you're making $5 a month? You're basically trapped in that place. So for a lot of folks, the only solution was walking out of there. And what kind of physical shape do you have to be so as to be able to walk out of there? So as to be able to walk for days and days on. Again, if you are very overweight, if you're not in shape, you're not going to be able to do that. It doesn't matter how much gear you have. And then it even comes down to things like crime and security and self-defense. Just looking the part, just looking like not strong enough, looking weak, looking like a little bit. If you look like a strong individual, I guarantee there's a good chance that the predator out there is going to be looking for an easier victim, an easier target. It happens all the time. They see and they smell, they feel, they read the body language and the way you move. They know who's an easy target and who's not. So being in good physical shape, training, practicing, getting strong, getting in good shape, that is essential. And none of these things that I've been talking about for I don't know how long cost any money. And these are the most important things about real survival and preparedness. Again, not, all the stuff that's cool and fun and shooting, which if I do enjoy shooting, I love it. But I'm also honest about what is really important. And absolutely, being able to defend yourself and your family, without a doubt, that's key for me. And it's not just an opinion, it's something that I've experienced firsthand. It is essential to be able to do that when things start getting dangerous and it's becoming the threats are real out there for yourself and your family. But these things I'm talking about are essential. At the end of the day, you don't need 10,000 guns. You don't need 24 guns. Being good with one it's good enough. And then we go back. We repeat ourselves. How good are you with that gun? If you have just one, how good are you with it? It's going to be dependent a lot on how focused you are when you're training, when you're practicing, and how good your fitness level is. I don't know of a single good gun, someone that's good with fighting with a gun that's not also good fighting without it as well. It's a complete package. I've seen myself how people that were target shooters and were great at shooting and hitting the target, but when it came down to that force exercise of fighting someone at contact range or at sidewalk range, which is realistically what you're likely to find yourself in, the physical aspect came into play as well, and they ended up not doing so great. So those would be some of the things that I think are essential for someone that is new into survival and preparedness, focusing on these things and getting their act together in their mind, in their relationship with their people, and their own physical capabilities. Your body, your main tool, that's key. But also for someone that's looking to be well prepared in a tight budget, it's not about having a ton of money. And yes, and yet again, having money is also a valuable asset, no doubt about that. But you can do all these things, at the same time. You can start working out. You can start eating healthier, eating less. Man, people shove food down their throats that it's twice the amount of what they realistically need. It's not just about the quality of the food, which again, another huge topic, but way too much. You have to be honest with yourself. Am I really needing all of this? Maybe just cut that portion in half and give it a go for a few weeks and see how that works out for you. Maybe you're going to be even feeling better without changing much other than the size of the portion. So guys, that's going to be it for now. I'm going to be doing a follow-up video on this one, talking specifically about some of those little things that, yes, if you're looking at getting certain tools, what is it that I feel you really should be getting, kind of like a minimum that should be properly set for most eventualities. That's going to be all for now, guys. Remember to subscribe. Take care. See you on our next video.